Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Backcourt Press with your host, Hunter Metnick. We're going to be discussing today the games from February 9th, which was Tuesday. Um, it was a fun slate of NBA games, and I want to talk about my opinions on some of the games. Subscribe, like, comment, and as I just said, subscribe for daily NBA content and just videos. We're doing weekly podcasts as well with my buddy, my high school friend, Zach Vinci. Um, we're just all NBA talk here, so please subscribe and let me know what you think about these discussions in the comments down below. And without further ado, follow me on Instagram at Backcourt Press and on Twitter at Backcourt Press _ or my personal Twitter at Hunter Metnick for probably more basketball content as well. Getting all that out of the way, let's get right into it. So on the 9th, we had a bunch of different games. We had games like the Heat having a fourth quarter comeback and barely beating the Derrick Rose-led New York Knicks. We had the Detroit Pistons beating the Nets, which will be the first game I talk about. The Pelicans beat the Rockets. Warriors beat the Spurs after losing the 2 nights before. The Jazz staying hot against the Celtics. Blazers beating the Magic. And the Sixers beating the torching hot Kings. First game that I've got my notes written down, so if you ever see me looking over here, it's because I got some bullet points going on over here. But first thing I have is the Detroit Pistons are weird. Which is true. They're sitting at 6-18, but I saw the teams that they've beaten was like Milwaukee, the Bucks, the Suns, the Bucks, Milwaukee, the Nets. I was going to say the Nets instead of the Bucks. And the Suns, and just I can look at their thing real quick, but they've just beaten only good teams. If you really look at it, they beat the Lakers that one game. They beat the 76ers, the Heat, who I guess we could still say are a good team, even though they're kind of losing, and the Celtics. Those are the only teams they've beaten. And I'm over here like, how does that happen? How does your franchise win against all the good teams, but lose against the bad teams as a bad team? Just something funny for me to discuss, I guess. But DeLon Wright had a big game tonight, which was, 22 points, 7 for 16. I just personally want to talk about the direction that this Detroit Pistons team is going in. I haven't talked about them much. Jeremy Grant's playing incredible. I wouldn't give him an all-star bid because of how bad this team is, and he's leading this team, but I think he is supposed to be leading this team, so I wouldn't say he's playing at an all-star caliber level. I think everyone expected Blake Griffin to be a little bit better than he has been this year. I'd like to see Blake play for a different team, but with his contract, it just doesn't look like they're going to be able to do it. They had some interesting free agency players the players they signed in free agency. Wayne Ellington shot like 7 threes the other night somehow. DeLon Wright was signed to this team. Mason Plumlee. 4 out of the 5 guys that started this game that they won against Brooklyn was not on the team last year. And also, you look at their bench, they're playing guys like Rodney McGruger, Isaiah Stewart, Sekou Doumbouya got 6 minutes. They'd never give Sekou a chance, and I was a big fan of him. I know one of the YouTuber that I watch a lot is KOT4Q, big Sekou fan. But the main player I want to talk about this team is Saddiq Bey. Tonight against the Brooklyn Nets, he shot in 21 minutes, he shot perfect from the field, 6 for 6, 3 from 3 from the three-point range, and had 15 points, and their second highest plus-minus on the team. He was a player I was expecting to go to the Spurs instead of who went to this? I think it was Devin Vassell. I might be wrong on that, but I think it was Devin Vassell that went to Spurs. But I thought Saddiq Bey was that high IQ player that the Spurs would use, and he fell to the Pistons, and I think this is a player that the Pistons are going to want on their team for a very, very long time. His IQ on both sides of the court is very good, and for a rookie, he's looking like he's bringing flashes of being a great 3-and-D player on this team for the future. So I'm very happy about the direction. I can't believe they're winning all these weird games. You could tell that the defensive presence for the Nets was not there at all. They allowed one of the worst teams in the NBA in the Detroit Pistons shoot 56% from the field and 45% from three. That's really, that right there is all I have to say. The Nets got out-rebounded with their starting lineup having, Kevin Durant didn't play this game. That is funny. I actually didn't know Durant didn't play that game. But even without Kevin Durant, you'd think James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and even guys like Jeff Green having a good game. Joe Harris had a rough game, but Joe Harris isn't going to be your star player every night. And players like, Bruce Brown coming off the bench, Landry Shamet, I don't know. This team's defense, especially if Kevin Durant's not playing, is terrible. And they need Kevin Durant to succeed. I think Kevin Durant's definitely the most valuable player on that team, and everyone knows it. But for the Pistons, when Killian Hayes comes back, I'm excited to see that. I hope they give him a chance. And don't just go draft Cade Cunningham Obviously, I think Cade Cunningham's the definite number one pick as of right now. And if they get the number one pick, I hope they still give Killian a chance to be a good sixth man in this league. The next game I want to talk about is the Knicks Heat game, where the Heat came back down a little bit in the fourth quarter and ended up winning the game by 2. And it looked like the Knicks had an easy win. And all I have to say is, the note that I have written down right here is there is no way the Miami Heat miss the playoffs if they have Jimmy Butler playing. Duncan Robinson is one of the best 3-point shooters in the league and one of the worst players in the league at everything else. He comes off screens and shoots it 17 times a game. He'll probably make 7 to 10 of them, but he brings nothing on the defensive side and no playmaking ability, no rebounding. And the Heat team around Jimmy Butler, they're starting to be able to show their weaknesses. Tyler Hero's getting not overhyped and not underhyped anymore. He's kind of just playing Tyler Hero, and he's doing what people expect him to do, is take another step. You look, he's still his confident self, and he's putting up since he came back. He's been like 17 to 20 points every single game. Jimmy Butler needs him on the court to spread the court and bring a playmaking ability that Duncan Robinson hasn't been able to bring. Goran Dragic has not really been able to bring. Kendrick Nunn sucks at, and they've been playing Gabe Vincent a little bit. But if Jimmy Butler can play the way he did last night, where he put up 26, 8, and 10, and I hit one of the clutch shots in this game, I mean, this team's not going to miss the playoffs. Let's see, Kelly Olynyk has been a good replacement, in my opinion, of Jay Crowder. I think Jay Crowder was still more influential for this team, but Kelly Olynyk's been good as a replacement. We'll see what they do in the playoffs, because we know how crucial Jay Crowder was to that run. Kendrick Nunn cannot be this team's starting point guard. Tyler Hero's coming off the bench for Kendrick Nunn, and that's ridiculous to me. Kendrick Nunn had 11 points in this game and had a plus minus of +8, but his offensive skill set is just not there. He thinks he's like a Malik Monk type player. In my last video, you could see I talked about Malik Monk as if he's either Michael Jordan or he's Deion Waiters. And Kendrick Nunn to me is always Deion Waiters. He thinks he's so much better than he is, and he's not. And Jimmy Butler shot 15 free throws. Bam Adebayo is a fantastic player. He didn't even have a good game against the Knicks, and they won. But he is a fantastic center in this league. And the Miami Heat are on the uprise now, because they started off the year so bad at got down all the way to the 14th seed, and now they're back up to 10 and 14. They're on a hot streak since Jimmy came back, just like the Toronto Raptors. You cannot judge teams off of how they start. I mean, we saw Cleveland and Orlando start off 3-0. Now they're nowhere near the playoffs. So give teams a little bit of chemistry time, and trust me, this Miami Heat team will not miss the playoffs as long as Jimmy Butler stays healthy and plays. Okay, the next game that I watched a little bit of was the Pelicans-Rockets game, where the Pelicans end up winning by 29. John Wall had a good game. Josh Hart had 17 rebounds. The parts I want to talk about this game is that Josh Hart played 40 minutes tonight. I don't know if that was because of matchups or whatnot, but I don't think Josh Hart should ever be playing 40 minutes a game, especially if you're going to win. Maybe it was because they were up big from the get-go and just continuously they beat him in all 4 quarters, except for they beat him in 3 quarters and only lost by 2 in the 3rd quarter. But Josh Hart pulled in 17 rebounds. Maybe it was because he was hot, but even when he is, I don't see that the reason to play him 40 minutes a night. I don't know. I don't understand that, especially when you have guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Kira Lewis Jr., Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe, all these young guards and forwards. I know he's been playing more of a forward role this season, but I don't understand why play him 40 minutes a night ever. He's just not the player you would expect to Brandon or Zion. Even an Eric Bledsoe to play that many minutes. But they gave the run to Josh Hart, and I guess he played well. He had a second highest plus minus on the team with 19, while Zion Williams had a plus minus of almost 30 at 29, and they won by 29. So Zion's a player. We already talked about him and how he doesn't get any media attention anymore, but he needs to. He's been a fantastic player and should honestly be in the All-Star talks for this season. The other thing I want to talk about, I talked about PJ Tucker in my last video, so I won't get that much into him, but Eric Gordon shot the ball 19 times tonight, and it looked like he went on a run where they just gave Eric Gordon the ball and everyone stepped back, and I'm like, why? Eric Gordon's not the kind of player that's I need a bucket, I'm going to go to Eric Gordon. He hit the back rim 3 straight threes, and I was like, stop shooting the ball. He had a plus minus of minus 40 in this game, and he was in the game for 34 minutes. Minus 40. They lost by 29. That means even they were worse than on the court with him. It was just crazy to me to see how this team surrounded him. I know he finished with 23 and it looks good because he almost shot 50% from the field, but his impact was terrible on the game. He did not play defense. He was every time he touched the ball, it looked like he shot. He had 3 assists on the night. I barely saw any of that. Um, I think Eric Gordon's either a player you move because he's not fitting the timeline of this team right now, like with PJ Tucker, or you just stick with him until his contract ends up because I just did not like the way that he fits with Boogie and John Wall, especially tonight when they got absolutely just destroyed by a bad Pelicans team. That's all I gotta say about that game. Next, I want to talk about the Portland Trailblazers game against the Magic. There's not much to say about the Magic. They're not good. Vucevic should be possibly traded or possibly an All-Star. I don't think he will get the All-Star bid because no one understands that he's put up 20 games every other game and then put up 27 and 15 on almost 50% shooting. When he's stretches the four. He's probably been the third best center in the NBA this season, and he's probably not going to make it at an All-Star game. It's just bizarre to me. And I know you're probably going to want me to talk about Damian Lillard's 36 points. Good for Dame. 13 free throws, had a good game. But what I want to talk about is Anthony Simons and how talented he's become as that backup point guard. They drafted him, I believe it was a late first round, early second round pick. I might be completely wrong. Yeah, 24th pick in the 2018 draft. And his just progression has gotten so much better throughout his career. I just like the way that he plays basketball. His offensive skill set is good. He went from 4 points his rookie season to 8 points last season to 9 points this season. And I think he brings very valuable minutes and great. He's a very good shot creator. I don't know about his facilitating is not that great. He doesn't bring a lot of rebounding, but his shot creating I really like. And I think he can learn a lot from players like CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard to eventually one day overtake a starting point guard role in this league. I think he has the potential to do that. And that's really all I got to say about the Blazers. They're starting to start winning some more games, which is, I guess, good for them. Magic suck. They're probably going to be a bottom 3 team in the NBA, in my personal opinion. The next note I have is one of my favorite teams in the NBA right now, although they're competing with my Warriors for a playoff spot as of right now, is the Sacramento Kings sitting at 12-12. Although they lost to MVP Joel Embiid, he is my MVP of the season so far. I don't know if it's disputed because of the fact that they're 18-7 and leading that East. And Joel Embiid's been incredible. So I'm going to give my nod to Joel Embiid with LeBron at number 2. But that's for a different video. The fantastic 3 guards for the Sacramento team, and De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, and Tyrese Halliburton combined for 70 points out of their 111. And especially when I'm telling you guys that they have guys like Harrison Barnes who played 37 minutes tonight, Marvin Bagley played 30, Rashawn Holmes with 20. It's just crazy to me to see these guys put up 70 points together, and they pass the ball well. I think Halliburton's a perfect player to stand next to a Buddy Hield or a De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is a speedster who will shoot the ball. He's finally starting to gain so much confidence, and he's making Luke Walton look like such a better coach than he is when he really is not at all. I think Buddy Hield doesn't fit the timeline of this team, so I think that he might get moved. But the Sacramento Kings are on the uprise, and finally I can say this because of the fact that they have one player, and that is De'Aaron Fox. Yeah, the Sixers look like the Sixers. Ben Simmons starting to play better, but Ben Simmons couldn't do anything against De'Aaron Fox defensively, and we know Ben Simmons is one of the best versatile and defenders in the NBA. And seeing De'Aaron Fox just torch him tells me De'Aaron Fox has to be a lock for the All-Star game. He's going to be I think right now he's right where prime John Wall was, in my opinion. Top 5, 6 point guard in the NBA, needs to get some respect on his name. Okay, there's my Sacramento rant. Next up, I have the Jazz game, which was them beating the Celtics 122-108. And the crazy thing about this game is if you look at the box score, the Utah Jazz as a team shot 37.5% from 3, which was almost 10% worse than the Boston Celtics. And they won. We saw them we saw them not shoot as well as their opponent from the 3-point line, and they won the game, which tells me this Utah Jazz team is for real. Joe Ingles had a plus-minus of 21. He looked like God out there tonight against that Boston Celtics team. He was the odd man out on defense for the Celtics defenders, and he was draining threes left and right with his beautiful left-handed jump shot. He was aggressive, finished with 6 assists, second on the team. And I want to talk about this a little bit more. Donovan Mitchell, to me, is such a great ball handler and point guard player. He had 36 points tonight on just 23 shots, 9 assists. Fantastic player. And this tells me the way that they they spread the floor. Even when their shots aren't falling, they have Rudy Gobert to tip out. He's got 3 offensive rebounds this game. And that's honestly bad for him, it seems like. So to have a guy like Rudy Gobert stand in the paint and have 4 guys surrounding him just opens up the game for Rudy and makes Rudy look so much better. Jordan Clarkson shot 4 for 15, who's my 6th man of the year so far. And he shot bad, and they still won. I don't know what's going on with Kemba. Maybe I thought he was looking good when he came back from that injury. Shot 2 for 12 tonight. Got kind of locked up by Donovan Mitchell. Kemba might be on the move, which takes me to one of my last points for this video is Kemba and Kyle Lowry are looking to be on the trading block. I see the Sixers are interested in Kemba. The Miami Heat are interested in Kyle Lowry. Do these veteran point guards start falling out? Because I'll take De'Aaron Fox over both of them. I'll take Jamal Murray, Malcolm Brogdon over both of these players right now. I don't know what's going to start happening with these older guys that made impacts, but their offensive games just are starting to fall apart. We've seen Fred VanVleet tend to take the keys of that offense from Kyle Lowry, and Kemba Walker's not looking like the Kemba Walker we know. So I'm interested to see what will happen to these top-notch point guards that we've always looked at as top 10 point guards in the NBA. And right now, they're not playing as top 10 point guards. Last game I wanted to talk about, my personal favorite game of the night, was the Warriors coming back and destroying the Spurs. I just talked all this hype on the Spurs about how great Dejounte Murray is. He comes out and has 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 0 steals after just playing the Warriors and having 8 steals, which is like the best steals game since Tim Duncan, I think. The Warriors defense looked good, and Steph Curry killed. When you shoot the ball efficiently like that and hold your opponent to 33.3% from the 3-point range, you're going to probably win if you have Stephen Curry. And Steph Curry had another MVP kind of game, putting up 32, 4 and 2. Steph Curry really needs to be starting to be talked about if you're going to talk MVP. That's all I got for this episode of Backcourt Press. These games were fun, and tonight's games, when you're seeing this on Wednesday the 10th, is going to be even better. So thank you all for watching. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Backcourt Press. Follow me on Twitter at Backcourt Press with an underscore at the end of it. And that's all I got for today. Peace out.